Welcome to Single Dad Story, a place where hearts are mended through the power of storytelling. Here, every tale is inspired by real human experiences, the quiet struggles, the hard-earned triumphs, and the second chances that remind us it's never too late to begin again. From a father's sacrifice to a stranger's act of grace, from broken moments to beautiful recoveries, each story is crafted to move your heart, spark empathy, and help you rediscover hope. New emotional journeys every week. Because sometimes Single Dad begins with a story. Let's start the story. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the penthouse as Eliza Harrington's world collapsed around her. One moment she was standing at the top of her corporate empire, the next, paralyzed from the chest down, abandoned by those who once claimed to love her. But fate has a curious way of bringing the most unlikely souls together. If you've ever felt alone or wondered if second chances truly exist, this story might just restore your faith in humanity. Like, subscribe, and join me on this journey of redemption, resilience, and unexpected love. Eliza Harrington's fingers trembled as she attempted to grasp the water glass on her nightstand. For the third time that morning, it slipped from her grasp, shattering against the hardwood floor of her luxurious Manhattan penthouse. The crash reverberated through the empty apartment, a sound that had become all too familiar in the 6 weeks since the accident. "Damn it," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. At 38, Eliza had been the youngest CEO of Harrington Enterprises, a tech empire she'd built from the ground up. Now she couldn't even hold a glass of water. The intercom buzzed, startling her. Another caregiver, no doubt. The seventh in as many weeks. They never lasted, not with her temper, not with her demands, not with her refusal to accept her new reality. "Miss Harrington?" A male voice crackled through the speaker. "I'm Marco Reyes. The agency sent me." Eliza closed her eyes, exhaustion washing over her. The doors unlocked. "Let yourself in." She heard the front door open and close, followed by hesitant footsteps. When she opened her eyes, a man stood in her doorway, tall, with warm brown skin and tired eyes that somehow still managed to smile. He wore a faded delivery uniform with a patch that read, "Speedy Deliveries." "You're not from the agency," she said flatly. "No, ma'am." He shifted uncomfortably. "I'm actually here about the caregiver position. The agency recommended me, but I haven't officially started with them yet." "So you have no experience?" "Not professionally, no." He straightened his shoulders. "But I took care of my mother for 3 years after her stroke. And I learned fast." Eliza's gaze drifted to the shattered glass on the floor. "I need someone qualified." "I understand." Marco nodded, but instead of leaving, he stepped into the room and knelt to clean up the broken glass. His movements were efficient, careful. "My shift at Speedy ends at 6 p.m. I could start tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., if that works for you." "I haven't hired you." He looked up, meeting her eyes directly. "Ms. Harrington, the agency told me you've gone through 6 caregivers already. They're running out of people willing to take this job. I need the work, and from the looks of it, you need someone who won't quit on you." Something in his directness caught her off guard. "Why do you need this job so badly? Delivery work not paying enough?" A shadow crossed his face. "I have a 7-year-old daughter. Her mother left when she was 2. I'm working 3 jobs to keep a roof over our heads and save for her future. This position pays better than all 3 combined." Eliza studied him. There was something genuine in his expression, a quiet determination she recognized from her own mirror years ago. "1 week," she said finally. "I'll give you 1 week." Marco arrived the next morning at precisely 6:55 a.m., dressed in clean jeans and a button-down shirt. His daughter, Lily, stood beside him, clutching a worn backpack. "I'm sorry," he said immediately upon seeing Eliza's expression. "My babysitter canceled last minute. It's just for today, I promise it won't happen again." Before Eliza could respond, Lily stepped forward. Are you the lady in the wheelchair? My dad says you're very important and run a big company. Eliza blinked, taken aback by the child's directness. Yes. I'm Eliza Harrington. Lily nodded solemnly. I'm Lily Reyes. I'm 7 3/4. I can be very quiet when adults are working. I brought my books and my tablet. Something about the girl's serious demeanor, so adult-like in such a small package, made Eliza's chest tighten. There's a study down the hall. You can set up there while your father works. Marco's relief was palpable. Thank you, Miss Harrington. I promise this won't be a regular occurrence. As Marco helped Eliza with her morning routine, she was surprised by his competence. His hands were gentle but confident as he helped her transfer from bed to wheelchair, and he maintained a professional distance that preserved her dignity. You've done this before, she observed as he efficiently organized her medications. Like I said, my mother. His voice softened. 3 years of caring for her taught me a lot. Where is she now? Marco's hands stilled momentarily. She passed away last year. Heart failure. I'm sorry. He nodded, resuming his work. Life happens. We adapt. By midday, Eliza found herself watching the clock, waiting for Marco's shift to end with an unfamiliar sense of disappointment. When Lily appeared in the doorway of Eliza's home office around noon, Eliza expected to be annoyed. Instead, she found herself intrigued by the girl's curious eyes scanning the bookshelves. You have a lot of books about computers, Lily observed. I run a technology company. Do you know how to code? We're learning basic coding in school, but our computers are really old. Eliza hesitated, then gestured to the chair across from her desk. I do. What are they teaching you? For the next hour, Eliza found herself explaining simple programming concepts to Lily, who absorbed information like a sponge. When Marco appeared in the doorway, concern etched on his face, Eliza waved him off. She's fine. We're discussing the fundamentals of Python. Marco's eyebrows shot up. Python? Lily, are you bothering Ms. Harrington? Not at all, Eliza said, surprising herself. She's quite bright. That evening, after Marco and Lily had left, Eliza sat by her window overlooking the city lights. For the first time since the accident, she'd gone a full day without crying, without raging against her fate. It was a small victory, but it felt significant. The days fell into a rhythm. Marco arrived each morning, helped Eliza with her physical needs, then assisted with whatever work she needed to do from home. Though she'd stepped down as CEO after the accident, she remained on the board and consulted on major decisions. Marco proved to be not just physically capable but intellectually curious. He asked thoughtful questions about her business, remembered details about ongoing projects, and even offered occasional insights that surprised her. How did you end up as a delivery driver? She asked him one afternoon as he helped her review quarterly reports. You're clearly intelligent. Marco's expression tightened. Life doesn't always go as planned. I was in my second year of engineering school when Lily's mother got pregnant. We got married, I dropped out to work full-time, and then she left us when Lily was 2. Said she wasn't cut out for motherhood. That must have been difficult. It was. Still is, sometimes. He shrugged. But Lily is worth every sacrifice. Eliza found herself thinking about Marco and Lily long after they'd left each evening. Their presence had brought something into her sterile apartment that had been missing for years, even before the accident: life, warmth, humanity. 3 weeks into their arrangement, disaster struck. Eliza woke in the middle of the night with excruciating pain in her back, a complication her doctors had warned might happen. Unable to reach her phone, she lay suffering for hours until Marco arrived for his morning shift. He took one look at her pale, sweat-soaked face and sprang into action, calling an ambulance and accompanying her to the hospital despite her protests. Lily, she gasped as the paramedics loaded her into the ambulance. "Is with my neighbor," Marco assured her, climbing in beside her. "I'm not leaving you alone." At the hospital, Marco advocated fiercely for Eliza when the medical staff seemed dismissive of her pain. He knew her medical history, her medications, her symptoms. He stayed by her side through tests and consultations, his steady presence a lifeline in the sterile, frightening environment. When the doctor finally diagnosed a severe muscle spasm that had compressed her spine, Marco was the one who held her hand as they administered medication that made the world go fuzzy around the edges. "Why are you doing this?" she asked him, words slurring slightly. "This isn't in your job description." Marco's expression was serious. "Because no one should face this alone." Something broke open inside Eliza then, a wall she'd built long before the accident, brick by brick, as she climbed the corporate ladder. Tears spilled down her cheeks, and for once, she didn't try to hide them. "I've always been alone," she whispered. "Even before this. Especially before this." Marco squeezed her hand. "Not anymore." The hospital incident changed something between them. Eliza began to open up about her life, her childhood as the daughter of cold, achievement-oriented parents, her ruthless climb to the top of a male-dominated industry, the relationship sacrificed on the altar of success. "I was at the office when the aneurysm ruptured," she told Marco one evening as they sat on her balcony watching the sunset. "Working on a Sunday, of course. If my assistant hadn't stopped by to drop off some files, I might have died there alone." Marco was quiet for a moment. "Do you miss it? The work?" Eliza considered the question. "Parts of it. The challenge, the sense of building something meaningful. But I don't miss what it cost me." She looked at him. "What about you? Do you miss engineering school?" "Every day," he admitted. "But I wouldn't trade Lily for anything, not even that dream." As summer turned to fall, Lily became a regular presence in Eliza's apartment. The school year had started, but she came by most afternoons, doing homework at Eliza's kitchen table while Marco prepared dinner for the three of them, an arrangement that had evolved naturally, without discussion. Eliza found herself looking forward to these impromptu family dinners, to Lily's chatter about school, to Marco's quiet humor. She began helping Lily with her homework, particularly math and science, and was surprised by how much she enjoyed teaching. One evening, after Lily had fallen asleep on the couch, Marco sat across from Eliza at the kitchen table, a serious expression on his face. "I need to talk to you about something," he said. Eliza's heart sank. He was quitting. Of course he was. Everyone left eventually. "I've been offered a position at Harrington Enterprises," he said instead. Eliza stared at him. "What?" "In the engineering department. Entry level, but with tuition assistance to finish my degree." He met her eyes. "Did you have something to do with this?" She shook her head slowly. "No. I mean, I mentioned to the board that we should consider more diverse hiring practices, but I didn't specifically recommend you." Marco studied her face, then nodded. "I wanted to make sure. I don't want special treatment." "You wouldn't get it. My company only hires the best." She hesitated. "Are you going to take it?" "I want to. It would mean a better future for Lily." He ran a hand through his hair. "But it also means I couldn't continue as your caregiver. The hours wouldn't work." The thought of Marco leaving sent a wave of panic through Eliza that surprised her with its intensity. "I understand," she said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "You should take it. It's a good opportunity." "I've been thinking," Marco said carefully. "What if I found someone to replace me during the day, but I still came by in the evenings? Not as your caregiver, but as..." He trailed off. "As what?" "As someone who cares about you." His eyes held hers. "Because I do, Eliza. More than I should, probably." The words hung between them, charged with possibility. Eliza had built her life around never needing anyone, never depending on anyone. The accident had forced her to accept help, but this was different. This was choosing vulnerability. "I care about you too," she whispered. "And Lily. I care about both of you." Marco reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Then we'll figure it out. Together." 6 months later, Eliza sat in her wheelchair on the stage of Harrington Enterprises' annual charity gala, microphone in hand. The ballroom was packed with employees, board members, and business associates, all watching her with curious eyes. It was her first public appearance since the accident. "Many of you know that my life changed dramatically last year," she began. "What you may not know is how close I came to giving up. Not just on my career, but on life itself." The room was silent, hanging on her every word. "I had built my identity around achievement, around independence. When that was taken from me, I thought I had nothing left." She paused, finding Marco's face in the crowd, Lily beside him in a sparkly dress. "I was wrong." Eliza explained the new initiative she was announcing, a foundation dedicated to making technology education accessible to underprivileged children, with a special focus on single-parent families. The Lily Foundation will provide scholarships, equipment, and mentorship to children who might otherwise never discover their potential in STEM fields, she said, smiling at the little girl who had inspired it all. "Because talent can be found anywhere, but opportunity cannot." As applause filled the room, Eliza caught Marco's eye. He was beaming with pride, not just for Lily, whose name would help change thousands of lives, but for Eliza herself. Later that evening, as Marco pushed her wheelchair through the garden outside the venue, Eliza reached up to touch his hand. "Move in with me," she said suddenly. "You and Lily. That apartment is too big for just me, and you're there most of the time anyway." Marco stopped walking, coming around to face her. "Are you sure? That's a big step." "I've never been more sure of anything." She took his hands in hers. "Before the accident, I thought I had everything figured out. Success meant power, money, independence. Now I know better. Success is having people to love who love you back." Marco knelt beside her wheelchair, bringing his face level with hers. "Is that what this is? Love?" Eliza smiled, touching his cheek. "Yes. That's exactly what this is." As they kissed under the garden lights, Eliza marveled at how completely her life had transformed. The accident that had seemed like an ending had actually been a beginning. In losing her old life, she'd found something infinitely more precious, a family, a purpose beyond profit margins, and a love she'd never believed possible. Sometimes, she reflected, the most beautiful journeys begin with a fall. The story I've shared today is inspired by my own experience with unexpected connection. Years ago, I found myself at a crossroads much like Eliza's, not physically paralyzed, but emotionally frozen, unable to move forward after a devastating loss. It was a chance encounter with someone who had every reason to be bitter about life but chose joy instead that pulled me from that darkness. If there's one message I hope you take from this story, it's that our greatest strength often emerges from our moments of greatest vulnerability. And sometimes, the people who save us are the ones we least expect. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more stories of resilience, redemption, and the unexpected connections that make life worth living. Until next time, remember that second chances don't always look the way we imagine. Sometimes, they're even better. The Physical Therapy Center buzzed with activity as Marco wheeled Eliza through the sliding glass doors. 6 months into their journey together, these weekly sessions had become a cornerstone of their routine, and a battlefield for Eliza's pride. "I don't see why we need to keep coming," Eliza muttered, eyeing the parallel bars with disdain. "Dr. Sharma already said my upper body strength has plateaued." Marco squeezed her shoulder gently. "Plateaued doesn't mean finished. Besides, you promised Lily you'd try the new exercises today." At the mention of Lily, Eliza's expression softened. The girl had drawn an elaborate strength chart for Eliza's refrigerator, complete with gold stars for each milestone. Ms. Harrington. Dr. Patel, her physical therapist, approached with his characteristic enthusiasm. Ready to work those shoulders today? Eliza forced a smile. As ready as I'll ever be. As Dr. Patel helped transfer her to the therapy mat, Eliza caught sight of a young woman across the room, early 20s, recently paralyzed from a car accident according to the snippets of conversation she'd overheard in previous sessions. The woman was sobbing quietly as her therapist tried to coax her into attempting a simple movement. "I can't do this," the young woman cried. "I just want to go home." Something in her despair struck a chord in Eliza. 6 months ago, that had been her, furious at the world, drowning in self-pity, pushing away anyone who tried to help. "Give me a minute," she told Dr. Patel, gesturing toward her wheelchair. Marco helped her back into it, and she wheeled herself across the room. "Excuse me," Eliza said, approaching the young woman. "I couldn't help overhearing. I'm Eliza." The woman looked up, tears streaming down her face. "Jen," she replied automatically. "Jen, 6 months ago I couldn't even sit up in bed without help. I threw things at my caregivers. I fired 6 of them in 7 weeks." Jen blinked, surprised by Eliza's frankness. "The first time I came here," Eliza continued, "I lasted 10 minutes before I demanded to go home. I was convinced my life was over." She gestured toward Marco, who watched from across the room. "Then someone showed me it wasn't." "But how do you do it?" Jen whispered. "How do you accept this?" She gestured helplessly at her legs. Eliza considered the question. "You don't, at first. You rage against it. You grieve. But then, one day, you realize you're still breathing. Still thinking. Still feeling. And you start to wonder what else you might still be capable of." She reached out, taking Jen's hand. "It gets better. Not easier, necessarily, but better. Different." Jen wiped her tears with her free hand. "I was supposed to start medical school next fall. And why can't you? How could I possibly be a doctor from a wheelchair?" Eliza finished. "The same way I still run a multi-million-dollar company from mine. One day at a time, with adaptations and a whole lot of stubbornness." For the first time, a flicker of something other than despair crossed Jen's face. "You run a company?" "Harrington Enterprises. Look it up." Eliza smiled. "And when you're ready to go back to school, call me. My foundation might be able to help with accessibility accommodations." As Eliza wheeled back to her own therapy station, she felt Marco's eyes on her. "What?" she asked, suddenly self-conscious. "Nothing." He smiled, that warm smile that still made her heart skip. "Just thinking about how far you've come." Eliza glanced back at Jen, who was now tentatively working with her therapist again. "We all need someone to show us what's possible," she said quietly. "I had you." Marco leaned down, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "You had yourself all along, Eliza. You just needed to remember that." As Dr. Patel guided her through the new exercises, Eliza pushed through the discomfort with renewed determination. Later, Lily would place another gold star on her chart, not for any physical achievement, but for the moment Eliza truly became the person she was meant to be.